So you're all welcome back to the sewing tutorial of our lace blouse. So what I did here is that I notched the bust point line and 1 inch below the bust point line where I'll be sewing my dart. I notched it and I folded it the way we normally sew our dart and pin it. So the reason why I did this is so that I can be able to cut out my lace, because I don't want the sewing to be on the lace. So I pin it like this, exactly how I'll sew it, and I cut out my lace. Do you understand? So this is what I have, and my lace is about 1 inch longer than the main fabric and the satin fabric and the lining piece. Okay, so now this is the back part as well. I proceeded to cut out the back part on the satin fabric, ensuring that the satin fabric is just 1 inch shorter than the main lace fabric. Okay, so I went on to cut it out. Then the next thing I did was to cut out lining piece. So this lining piece is a half lining piece, like it's just as long as 1 inch below the half length. Like you can see, is 1 inch below the half length, and that is how I cut it out for the back part. Now on the center front, I cut out my satin fabric, my lining piece, and my lace fabric, all complete, like they are all long, except that the lining piece is still 1 inch shorter than the lace fabric. So lining piece and the satin fabric are shorter than the lace fabric. So what I'm going to do now is to sew my lace fabric and my satin fabric the same way. I'm going to be placing it in a way that the shiny part of the satin fabric will be reflecting on the inside. Okay, so before I stitch them down to become one, I'm going to infuse my estay and my warden to it, after which it will be time for joining. So after infusing my estay and warden, I went on to use my satin fabric to turn the downside of my lace fabric for the back, because the lace fabric for the back doesn't have any lace hem. So I proceeded to use my satin fabric to turn it, and that was the reason why I made the satin fabric 1 inch shorter than the lace fabric. I turned the from the waist down on the side and from the waist down on the zipper allowance. So what I'm going to do now is to turn it to the right side. Okay, I'm going to turn it to the right side, and after turning it to the right side, I'm going to pick up my chalk and mark my dart. Okay, I'm going to mark my dart, but before I do that, I'm going to stitch this part to become one. I'll stitch the lining piece and the lace fabric on the neckline, the center front, that is the zipper side, I mean, and the side, so that they become one and relaxing. So I went on to do that, and I also stitch my waist dart to it. Now my half lining, I'm going to place my half lining to it, and I'm going to hem the down part of this half lining like this, after which I'll sew my dart on the half lining and use it to turn the neckline, the zipper allowance all the way to the half length. Okay, then I'll do the same thing on this part. Now remember, I said I'll sew my dart on the lining piece as well. Okay, so that is what I'm going to do, and after that I'll repeat the same process on the back part. That is the second back part. So I went on to sew my dart, turn the down part of my lining piece, and from the waist up I turn with lining piece on both sides, the side and the center back. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is the front part I went on to attach to infuse my warden and my estay, and I also join the center front and the side fronts together. So now I'm going to show you how I sew my dart on the front part. Okay, so the way we normally sew our waist dart, that's exactly how I sew it. Okay, on the satin of the front part and on the lining piece. Remember, we didn't sew it on the lace because we had already pinned it, assuming it is sewn when we cut out our lace, right? And after which I infuse my este, my warden, and I join the center front and the side front like I mentioned earlier. So here is the lining piece. I am trying to explain to you how I sew it, as you can see, all the way towards the nipple, and that was how I sew it. So what I'm going to do now is to use my lining piece to turn the neckline for the front. Okay, remember to open iron when you join your center front with the side front. Then I'm going to be using my lining piece to turn the satin fabric on the hem, because when I was joining I left space for that. Okay, so this part I want to a kind of leave more space here so I can be able to turn the down part of the satin with my lining piece. I hope you understand what I'm trying to say. Okay, so after that, after turning the down part, it will be time for us to move to the next one. So I'm trying to kind of rip some parts so that I'll have enough allowance on the down to turn with my lining piece, and I'll show you the next thing we're going to do. So here I have my yoke, and I went on to place it exactly how we cut it out so that the lace edge will be on the neckline. So I'm going to place it like this, ensuring that it stays exactly where I want it to stay on the neckline. Then I'm going to place it right side facing right side, and I'll grab my pins and secure properly, after which I'll go on to join. Okay, then after joining I will now turn the neckline with my lining piece and the side as well. So that is what I went on to do already. I went on to turn the necklines with my lining piece, and also the down, that is after joining my yoke. You can see it, I turn it, and you can see the down part. I turn it neatly with my lining piece and the side as well, and you can see how neat is looking on the inside, and you can see how my cup is looking so perfect. Now it is time for me to join the front shoulder with the back shoulder. So what I'm going to do now is to place the two fronts together, and I'm going to stitch the zipper allowance with loose stitch. That is, I will just hold the zipper allowance with a loose stitch, after which I will join the two shoulders together. Okay, so I'll go ahead and do that, and once I'm done I'm going to bring it out for us to see what we have. Okay, so I was done joining, and this is what I have, as you can see. So it's time to cut out the sleeve, and I went on to measure my round armhole line. Okay, so before you cut out anything on your lace fabric, ensure that you cut out the part you're using for your sleeve, especially if you want it to have the lace edge, because that is what I did. I already cut out this part and set it aside before I proceeded to cut the other ones on my main bodice. Okay, especially if you wanted to have this edge. So I went on to fold into two, and further refolded into two again, making it into four for the two sleeve. Okay, so after folding it, it is time for us to cut out the sleeve. Now I already have the desired length, and I measured down 4 inches, and from that 4 inches I'm just going to connect all the way like this. Okay, into towards the down, and after connecting I am going to just make a kind of curve there for the armhole. Okay, this is a basic sleeve. It's the regular sleeve we cut every time, so it's not a big deal. Some of us already know how to cut this. So after making your curve and your slant, you're just going to measure it to ensure that it rhymes with what you have on the round armhole of the main fabric. Then you will go on to divide your bicep, that is your round sleeve, divided by 2, and you proceed to back, and that is exactly what you're seeing me doing here. So after which I'll proceed to connect. I'm so sorry this chalk is not showing very well, but um I'm sure you already know how to do this because this is just a regular basic sleeve. And I was done drafting, and it's time to cut out. So after cutting out, it's time for us to go over to our machine, and we're going to attach it to our blouse. Okay, so this is what I have, and I'm going to go on to mark on the midpoint like this, and I'll go on to attach it to the main our main blouse. Okay, so the midpoint where I just marked on the sleeve, I'm going to align it to the shoulder part of the main blouse, and I'll proceed to sew, after which I'll bring it back for us to see. So I'm also going to attach my zipper and join my side. Okay, that is what I'm going to do after sewing my sleeve to this. I'll attach my zipper and sew my side. Okay, so that is what I went on to do now. I went on to sew my zipper and sew my dart. So this is what we have, as you can see, and you can see the beautiful look of our blouse. Okay, so if you want to watch exactly how to make a perfect scallop blouse, I already have a tutorial on that. A cutting tutorial is there. I want you to check it out on my channel. I already uploaded a tutorial. Then you can see how standing our bra cup is looking, our bustier, sorry. You can see how beautiful it is looking, as if it's a bra cup. Okay, so this is the final outcome of our blouse. So I'm going to show you everything. Thank you so much for sticking close. I wish to see you some other time I drop similar tutorials like this. And remember, you are very free to ask questions where you didn't get it clear, or where you need clarification, or where you're a bit confused. You're very free to ask questions on the comment section. I am always available. I am always, ready to attend to all your questions and ensure that you get maximum understanding on any tutorial that I drop on this channel. So this is me rocking this beautiful dress, blouse, and you can see how it fits perfectly. Thank you so much. See you some other time. Have a great day and do enjoy yourself. Until then, I say bye.